30 high-speed skiffs, 250 pirates armed to the teeth, tear through the darkness of the Gulf of Aden. Their mission isn't plunder. It's to turn an American logistics ship and its 180,000 barrels of fuel into a sea of fire. Outnumbered, can the two warship escorts stop this savage wolf pack before it's too late? At 3:30 a.m. on October 7th, 2025, the Gulf of Aden lay cloaked in darkness, its waves whispering secrets of chaos. The USNS Guadalupe, a 40,000-ton replenishment oiler of the United States Navy, sliced through the black waters, carrying 180,000 barrels of fuel vital to sustaining naval operations across the Indian Ocean. Escorted by the USS Laboon, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, and the USS Cape St. George, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, the tanker was a lifeline for American sea power, a floating fortress ensuring carriers and frigates could patrol the world's most contested waters. For the 250 sailors aboard, it was another night of vigilance, their radar screens glowing softly in the combat information centers, scanning for threats in a region known for its lawlessness. But off the horizon, a storm was brewing. From the shores of Puntland, 250 Somali pirates, hardened by years of violence and desperation, had launched a daring assault. Aboard 30 high-speed skiffs, each bristling with RPG-7 rocket launchers and DSHK 12.7mm heavy machine guns, they surged toward the Guadalupe at 35 knots, their engines screaming across the waves. Their plan was audacious: overwhelm the Navy tanker, ignite its fuel reserves, and trigger an explosion that would rival the largest non-nuclear blasts in modern history. Intelligence later revealed their motives: $200 million in ransom demands and a bid to cripple America's naval supply chain. The pirates, backed by a shadowy warlord network, believed their numbers and surprise would break the U.S. Navy's resolve. They were about to learn why challenging the world's most powerful navy in open water is a catastrophic mistake. The Gulf of Aden, a choke point where $1.2 trillion in annual trade flows, was no stranger to piracy. But this was no ordinary raid. The pirates' armada, coordinated via encrypted radios, aimed to exploit the early morning darkness, believing the Americans would be caught off guard. On the Guadalupe's bridge, Captain Laura Hensley, a 20-year veteran, sipped coffee, unaware that within minutes, her crew would face one of the largest pirate assaults in decades. The USS Laboon and USS Cape St. George, positioned 3 nautical miles apart, maintained a defensive perimeter, their AN/SPY-6 radars sweeping the horizon. At 3:32 a.m., the first blips appeared. 30 fast-moving contacts converging from the northeast. The night was about to erupt into a cauldron of fire and steel. Could the U.S. Navy stop this swarm before it reached the tanker? Let's find out right now. At 3:34 a.m., the USS Laboon's Combat Information Center buzzed with controlled urgency. Radar operators confirmed the contacts: 30 skiffs, each carrying 8 to 10 pirates, closing at 35 knots from 12 nautical miles. The tactical action officer, Lieutenant Commander Ryan Patel, stared at the screens, his voice steady. Classify as hostile. Prepare for engagement. The Guadalupe's crew, alerted by claxons, scrambled to battle stations, sealing hatches and readying fire suppression systems. The USS Cape St. George, 3 miles to the south, locked its fire control radars onto the lead skiffs, painting their aluminum hulls with pinpoint accuracy. The pirates, oblivious to the eyes watching them, pressed their attack, their RPGs loaded and machine guns manned. At 3:37 a.m., the first shots shattered the night. From 8 miles out, a pirate skiff fired an RPG-7, its warhead streaking toward the Guadalupe. The rocket missed by 200 yards, exploding in a harmless geyser of seawater. But the message was clear. These pirates meant business. The USS Laboon responded instantly, Its 5-inch Mark 45 gun roared, lobbing high explosive shells that detonated among the lead skiffs. 2 boats disintegrated in fiery blasts. Their crews, 12 pirates, vaporized in seconds. Shrapnel rained into the sea, and the remaining skiffs scattered, their formation breaking under the sudden onslaught. But numbers were on their side. At 3:39 a.m., a second wave of 10 skiffs regrouped, firing a barrage of 15 RPGs. One struck the Guadalupe's starboard deck, igniting a fuel line. Flames erupted, licking 50 feet into the air as black smoke billowed across the tanker's hull. Damage control teams, clad in fire-resistant gear, raced to contain the blaze, their hoses battling a fire that threatened to ignite 180,000 barrels of fuel. The USS Cape St. George unleashed its counterstrike. From its vertical launch cells, 12 RIM 66 SM-2 missiles screamed into the night, each guided by the cruiser's Aegis system. 8 skiffs were obliterated in rapid succession, their fiberglass hulls shredded by 137-pound warheads. Burning wreckage littered the sea, and the pirates' radios crackled with panic. "They're everywhere," one voice screamed in Somali, intercepted by Navy linguists. But the pirates pressed on, their machine guns spraying 12.7 millimeter rounds in wild arcs. A burst raked the Laboon's deck, wounding 2 sailors, one with a shattered arm, another with shrapnel in his leg. Medics rushed to their aid, but the crew's discipline held firm. At 3:45 a.m., the tactical picture shifted to dangerous. The remaining 20 skiffs split into 2 groups, attempting to flank the Guadalupe. Their plan: overwhelm the escorts and board the tanker. The Navy had other ideas. From the USS Laboon, 40 Switchblade 300 drones launched in a swarm, each carrying a 1-pound warhead. Flying at 100 mph, they dove toward the skiffs, guided by infrared cameras. Within 90 seconds, 15 boats were burning, their crews leaping into the shark-infested waters. The USS Cape St. George's Phalanx CWS guns joined the fight, their 20mm Gatling cannons spitting 4,500 rounds per minute. The night sky glowed with tracer fire, a metallic thunderstorm that tore through pirate hulls. By 3:50 a.m., 22 of the 30 skiffs were destroyed, and over 150 pirates were dead or drowning. But the Guadalupe's fire raged on, its crew fighting to save the ship. Captain Hensley's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold the line. We will not lose this tanker." At 3:55 a.m., the battle's tide turned. From the USS America, 120 miles away, 4 MH-60R Seahawk helicopters roared into the fight, each carrying Hellfire missiles and door-mounted M240 machine guns. Their thermal sights locked onto the remaining skiffs, and within minutes, 6 more boats were reduced to smoking debris. The pirates' final gambit came at 4:02 a.m., when a lone skiff, manned by a desperate crew, rammed the Guadalupe's hull, detonating a makeshift explosive. The blast shook the tanker, blowing a 10-foot hole below the waterline. Seawater poured in, but the crew's training kicked in. Watertight compartments were sealed, and pumps roared to life, keeping the ship afloat. The Navy's response was merciless. At 4:10 a.m., the order came: neutralize the source. Intelligence had pinpointed the pirates' stronghold, a fortified compound on Puntland's coast, 80 miles away. From the USS America, 2 AH-64E Apache helicopters and a team of 16 Navy SEALs launched in MH-60L Blackhawks. The Apaches struck first, their 30mm chain guns and AGM-114 Hellfire missiles leveling guard towers and weapons caches. Explosions lit the dawn sky, visible to fishing boats 20 miles out. The SEALs fast roped into the compound, their suppressed M4 carbines cutting down 12 pirate sentries in seconds. Inside, they found a cache of 200 RPGs, 50 machine guns, and 15 crates of ammunition, enough to arm a small army. Most critically, they freed 28 hostages, Fishermen and sailors kidnapped months earlier, chained in a concrete bunker. By 4:30 a.m., the compound was a smoking ruin. The SEALs rigged explosives, demolishing the pirates' command center and radio tower. The operation was surgical. 30 pirates killed, 40 captured, and the hostages airlifted to safety. Back at sea, the Guadalupe's crew contained the fire, and the tanker, though battered, remained afloat. The Navy's message was clear: no one attacks America's lifeline and walks away. By 5:15 a.m., the Gulf of Aden was a graveyard of pirate ambition. The USNS Guadalupe, scarred but unbroken, steamed under escort as damage control teams stabilized her hull. The USS Laboon and USS Cape Saint George stood vigilant, their radars sweeping for any remaining threats. The numbers told a brutal story. 24 of 30 pirate skiffs destroyed, 180 of 250 pirates killed, 40 captured, and 30 unaccounted for, likely lost to the sea. The cost to the Navy was real. 2 sailors wounded, 1 critically, and the Guadalupe's decks scarred by fire and shrapnel. But the tanker's 180,000 barrels of fuel worth $150 million were secure, and the supply chain to America's fleet remained intact. On shore, the pirates' stronghold was no more. The SEAL raid had obliterated their infrastructure, seizing weapons worth $2 million and crippling their network. The 28 hostages, now aboard the USS America, received medical care. Their ordeal ended by American resolve. In Washington, Pentagon officials delivered a stark message: the United States Navy protects its own. Any attempt to disrupt our operations will be met with overwhelming force. The Gulf of Aden, a vital artery of global trade, remained open, and the pirates' dream of chaos lay shattered in flames. For the sailors aboard the Guadalupe, the night was a testament to discipline and courage. For the pirates, it was a lesson in hubris. Their swarm had been crushed, their stronghold erased, and their warlord backers humiliated. The world watched as America's Navy proved once again that it is an unbreakable shield. What do you think this victory means for piracy in the Gulf of Aden? Will it deter future attacks, or will desperation drive others to try? Share your thoughts below. And if you value this kind of in-depth analysis, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss a story of America's strength on the high seas.